I want to say we're probably coming off one of the more monumental chapters in the story, and that might be our fault. Not just me, a lot of us in the community, right? A lot of us might be a fault of overhyping certain moments by saying everything broke One Piece or everything changed everything or everything. Sorry, this time everything has changed legitimately because, well, we just saw Saturn summon himself through a magic circle from a few miles away. He wasn't that far away. He could have walked over, probably can skywalk. He decided to summon himself in the middle of the battlefield and, just effectively end everything. I don't know if spiders have balls, but I bet they're heavy. Because, all right, never mind. Garcia, he got some cojones, okay? Everything has changed and turned upside down because everything we thought we knew, we didn't know enough, right? For instance, I've made a video about the Gorosei saying that they should be Yonko level strong, and that's how people were somewhat scaling them, and now the stock is back up. I wish we had a One Piece character stock report where we can see characters who are trending to characters who are trending up, characters who are trending down. Because right now, the Gorosei are trending up considering what we just saw, because they have presence, and we'll make a video about presence in a few days. But right now, let's talk about some things you probably don't know. Maybe you do know. In an interview in 2022, Oda basically said that the Gorosei, well, let me say verbatim what Oda said, and this is through a very reliable source. Sandman_AP, check him out on Twitter, always One Piece news from the source, from Japan. Oda in 2022 in an interview said, "I don't think I have failed in the Five Elders designs. They have yet to show their true value." And this is posted right after chapter 1085, where Sabo was descended to hell, and we saw the silhouettes of all the different forms. And I understand why Oda was saving it, because this is something that would completely blow our minds. I'm going to make a prediction video as well as far as the different forms for the Gorosei based on some of the yokai in Japan, because I mean, Garcia is a yokai. He's the Ushioni, sorry. Whoa, is there something there? Ushioni? Okay, so chapter 233, the introduction of the Gorosei. Yeah, why am I pointing out this chapter? Well, this is the only chapter in the story with a black cover page. It's black, like dark and demonic and stuff. I don't know. This chapter is the introduction of the Gorosei. Guess what the chapter title is called? Chapter is called The World's Greatest Power. And what Oda tries to do is throw us off by introducing some of the warlords here. But not only that, he talks about Whitebeard. He uses Buggy to talk about Whitebeard, the world's strongest pirate. And again, we are introduced to the warlords, so you can infer that Oda's talking about the Yonko, not necessarily the Gorosei, right? But more so the Yonko and the warlords, not the Gorosei. So he uses this panel, right? The black uses the Yonko, he uses the warlords to somewhat throw us off the trail, where we're not really focused on the Gorosei. We know they're important, obviously, but we don't think that's the focus, because that's literally not the focus. We're focused on Ace, we're focused on Buggy, we're focused on Whitebeard. But the world's greatest power might genuinely be the Gorosei and the power that they wield so far, literally so far. But the craziest thing about this chapter, and again, we're digging deep, right? We're talking about satanic characters, possible connections. So we're going to dig deep here. Something you probably missed, something I missed, we all missed it on their introduction, right? They're just there in the room, the five elders. Look behind them in chapter 233. What do we see? We literally see ornaments hanging of magic circles and pentagrams, literally right behind them. How did we miss this? I mean, no one thought there would be demon things, but that was literally right behind them in this chapter as well. Because I mean, I went deep, okay? Deep. We were talking about Spider. Okay. Again, the Gorosei were not the focus of this chapter, because this is the defeat of Bellamy, right? This is a chapter where Luffy says he wants to go to the sky. The epic panel with him pointing upward. And something that this made me think of, and I was processing beforehand, was how Oda has expanded the One Piece world, where we've gone to Skypiea, which is somewhat a loose representation of heaven, with the clouds, the angels, the Birkins. It is representing a form of heaven, right? And so we've gone to the sky. Skypiea is real. And we look at some of those characters, like we saw Enel, he was a god, right? He was a fall god, and he was up there. So at that point, it started to make me think about, okay, in this same chapter in which we were introduced to these characters, the Gorosei, and we saw the pentagrams behind them, which we don't even recognize, knowing that they have this presence that, it made everyone on the battlefield at that point, they lost their minds. They felt it. Everyone felt him appearing. If we have angel representations, shouldn't there be demonic or demons as well? Not literal demons, but I would say those representatives in the story of One Piece, because the more and more I'm realizing, One Piece is literally a fantasy story. Crazy. 1,000 chapters in, it's a fantasy story. There was a huge debate recently about if One Piece is a battle manga or not. Irrelevant. One Piece is a ludicrous fantasy story. What do I mean? Think of every fantasy story you've ever read. Hercules, Snow White, Shrek. Those aren't books, but you've watched or read, right? Mary Poppins, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Alice in Wonderland, James and the Giant Peach, The Last Unicorn. I guarantee if you go through all of these fantasy stories, you will find a representation, a loose representation of these fantasies in One Piece. Now, do not get this misconstrued. I am not saying that Oda is straight up stealing these stories or these ideas. However, he is inspired, as he stated several times before. He's inspired by not only, of course, worldly fantasy stories, but of course, Japanese mythology, etc. And we see it within the story. So in the One Piece world, it is a amalgamation almost of all of these fantasies kind of twisted through Oda's mind and spit out for us to enjoy. So when we think of all these stories, there will be loose representations of everything within this story. It is the ultimate fantasy story. So if we have Skypiea and the Birkins, Shandians, they're a loose representation of what heaven or what we perceive heaven to be, right? They have this godly figure, or when we went up there, we expected Gonfall to be that, but then you had Enel, who was literally ruling with an iron fist, not really a good person. How do you flip that on its head about demons? We already know magic exists in One Piece, because this is another part of it that I wanted to tackle. Well, Brago, how do you know magic exists in One Piece? Well, first off, we saw Clabauta Man, right? That came and basically fixed the Mary and the soul of the ship, whatever. You can just say, oh, that's just, I don't know. Let's just say that's willpower or whatever the heck. Okay. Brooke, I mentioned before that he was summoned, not actually, but on Namakura Island. That's where Brooke was sent after Kuma sent him flying. He popped up and a bunch of Satanists, they were trying to summon something. And these people that lived there, they were cultists. There are some side stories about them hating the Long Arm tribe because they destroyed their country, etc. There's always more to the story because the Long Arm tribe, they are basically victims of slavery, like a lot of different clans in One Piece. Of course, the Long Arm tribe and the Long Leg tribe, they have beef. It goes deep, and then they're cultists on Namakura Island, and they were trying to summon something. And again, when they're trying to summon something, Brook showed up, said they thought they succeeded, but they were willing to give their soul for power. So that's one indication that magic, or black magic rather, exists within the story of One Piece or within that world. I think a dead giveaway was even in a chapter when that guy said, he said, yo, that's a magic circle. But even deeper than that, sometimes One Piece is so meta because Kaido, after seeing Luffy turn into all these different things, he said, whoa, he's like a comic strip. So again, whatever fantasy you can think of, it exists within the world of One Piece. It just hasn't been explored yet. And so magic is very prevalent in the story. We just have to look for it. Again, the magic circles of the pentagrams right behind the Gorosei. Insane. Want even more proof? Let's talk about this character, Miss Golden Week. Who? So Miss Golden Week, Marianne, she has a power in which she can use a color and she can alter a person's or change a person's personality based on the color. Betrayal black, laughter yellow, bullfight red, those different colors to alter people's personalities. Now, of course, the first thing you're thinking of is that's hockey or more than likely a devil fruit because she has the, actually, she doesn't have a devil fruit, confirmed by Oda. Miss Golden Week does not have a devil fruit. What do you call that power? There's no explanation for it other than freaking magic, right? Let's go even further. There was an actual sorcerer that joined the Corridor Coliseum that was competing for the Maramara no Mi, and he was a literal sorcerer that's in the story. That was what he was doing. Kinemon, at first, he described devil fruit powers as magic. Raizo with his ninjutsu. Madame Shirley at times when she can recall different things or fortune telling. I mean, you can say it's observation hockey or whatever, or it could just be straight up just magical powers, right? Vegapunk and his explanation of what devil fruits are, it was his theory of what he surmised it to be, which more than likely is the truth, but basically what he said, those devil fruit powers were needed so they came to be, which they were wished into existence. If devil fruit powers to the likes of controlling earthquakes, literal earthquakes, can be real, I don't think magical things are that crazy. Now, they haven't been fleshed out. It's really late in the game for us to be exploring things like this. Look at Hawkins. He is literally using freaking voodoo dolls. So these are things that are going to be explored and Oda is introducing them to us. Now, is this going to be a separate power system that he's introducing? I don't know. It's kind of late to do that where it's like now you can use devil fruit hockey and magic, but I think these people are sorcerers, but they just could be. Okay, let me show you guys something. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this magic shit is getting to me, but hear me out. So I went back and reread the referee, right? When Shanks pulled up on the Gorosei, and I just wanted to see their interactions. Just again, look at the room. Those pentagrams are still there. When Shanks pulled pulled up, right? And he was talking to them. How they responded was weird, okay? And I didn't notice it until now. So if you look at it, Shanks comes in and they said, one says, what do you want? The other says, why would you come all this way? The other says, this is reverie. Given your standing, you should have nothing to do with politics. And the other says, we only arrange this time on your request. It was almost as if they were all speaking as one being, but differently, right? Like normally for situations like this, I look at them as boardroom members. I made a video about this before, the Gorosei, how I viewed them beforehand. Now it's completely different. And I'm looking at Doflamingo's comments about power and the secret that they want to find out. I'm looking at it completely different now. We'll talk about that. Normally in situations like this, I've been in, certain situations with meetings with board members, etc. There's a spokesperson, right, for the board. And that person is typically controlling or conducting the meeting. And that person is typically the spokesperson. The board, of course, people chime in from here and there when the meeting gets going. For the most part, especially when it's early, it's like, yo, this person is a spokesperson for the board. Shanks walks in and everybody has a comment, almost as if they're in unison in one entity. Now, I'm not saying all the Gorosei are they're one being, but I think they're all connected in some way, right? Maybe it's not a natural connection and they're all connected through Emu, but I think they're literally all connected. The scary part is that because Garcia summoned himself, I would not be surprised if like others could summon themselves where he is as well. So it's like Oda said back in 2022, they have not shown their true value. We're going to need a Gorosei video to delve into not only the different forms they might have, but their future importance. But the last thing I'll leave it off at in regards to that is like Harry Potter. And we're already going on a bit too long. I'll talk about my Skypiea stuff and what I was thinking in the next video. But guys, give me your thoughts. What's going on? Magic is a thing now. I don't think it's a strength thing. I don't think Garcia is stronger than the Yonko. Some people were offended, or I don't know why you're offended if I say the Gorosei aren't stronger than Kaido. Like, that's just weird, dude. I said I don't think the Gorosei are close to Kaido, right? But Jinbei didn't react to Kaido's transformation. No one reacted to Kaido's transformation the way they did to Jay Garcia. So that, to me, kind of proves it's not a strength thing, because I don't think, unless you think Jay Garcia is stronger than Kaido. If you think that, then there's no getting to you. This is more of a presence. It is dark, it is demonic, and I wonder how many people know about this being at the top of the verse. And then I think about Zebek and the perception of him, and if he knew about this and this is what he was trying to change. And then we segue to Blackbeard. It's getting good. See you in the next video.